Hello and welcome again to another CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. And today we're returning to the land at Ligoniel Road, phase 5A, 5B and 6. It's in Belfast, BT14, 8EU, and this is the phase 3. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. So on this project, the borrowers are Gerald McKeever and Daniel Dixon. It's owned by Ligoniel Developments Limited and their company number is N1638064, and I'm delighted to say that Gerald is with us on this webinar. Tell us a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about Daniel.
I am a civil engineer by qualification, but I've been in the property industry for property and development for the last 30 years, doing some very large projects all around the world. And I've come back to Ireland and we're now developing in partnership with Daniel, who is the contracting side of the business. And we're developing these affordable houses in Ligoniel in Belfast.
So let's then look at the project. It's a development of 31 new buildings, which are new houses. It's part of tranche 5A, 5B and 6. And it includes a mix of detached, semi-detached and bungalow housing. Now, CrowdProperty has agreed the loan facility of £1 million or up to £1 million, with the first two phases of £600,000 already utilised. The loan is running for a maximum term of 80 months, which started on the 14th of February 2020, with the interest on this part of the loan being rolled up and paid at the exit. This phase is for £150,000. The land is located about 4 miles northwest of Belfast city centre, 11 miles north of Lisburn and 12 miles southeast of Antrim. And the project comprises a parcel of land with partially developed and completed houses that are already sold. So let's then have a little bit more detail about the location. Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland, population of around about 334,000 people back in 2015. The property located then 4 miles northwest of that Belfast city centre. The property benefits from being located 4 miles from both the nearest M1 and M2 junctions. They allow quick access to Belfast city centre and the rest of Northern Ireland. The Belfast International Airport is about 11 miles to the west of the property, and Ligoniel Road benefits from 2 bus routes. There's also the usual shops like Spa and Iceland and those nearby, and Ballysillan Leisure Centre is about a mile from the property. That includes a gym, a swimming pool and a fitness hall. Now, planning permission has been granted by Belfast City Council. Their planning references are Z/2012/1249/F, LA04/2017/0923/F, and LA04/2018/3244/F, where permission has been granted for the construction of 108 dwellings in total. The dwellings are being sold off plan and on the open market. The maximum loan term is 15 months, and this project is going to be first charge secured. Now, as the dwellings are completed, the borrower is going to sell them and pay down the loan. Here is the location map showing where it is. So on the left-hand side, you can see where Ligoniel is. On the right-hand side, you can see where that is in relation to Belfast and where the airport is and those kinds of things. Let's then come back to the location. Tell us a little bit more about the benefits of this particular area.
Ligoniel is to the west of Belfast, right on the edge of the city. So you're really very close access to the city. with a countryside setting. Beyond the development is the countryside, and the city has worked its way out to this part of town. And there was some development done, just road system, in the last rush, and we picked up the project and have now developed out 77 of the total 108 houses.
And of course, the name Ligoniel stands for Hollow of the Lime. Tell us more.
In this area, part of the geology is limestone, and parts of Northern Ireland have, over the generations, produced limestone for export. Also, the Wolf Hill, by reputation, it's the hill where the last wolf in Ireland was killed.
Now, as you said earlier, most of the Ligoniel development has already been built, and up to now they've all been sold. So the development of the site started back in 2016. That was a tranche of 17 dwellings. The prices for the standard 3-bed semis have increased by approximately £10,000 per development after its successful sales. And you sold 27 units in 2017, 29 more units in 2018, and then 21 units in 2019. So all 77 units built in tranches 1 to 4 have been sold, and approximately 95% of the house sales complete as soon as the build is completed. So currently 10 out of the 30 units being built in the section that we're funding have also been reserved by purchasers. So talk us through a little bit more then about what's happening, the different house designs, and then we'll go on then to look at the various different kinds of property.
Fundamentally, the most popular type of house is a semi-detached. It's a 3-bedroom house. There are several different types, very similar in the area, but with an external difference to make the whole development more interesting. So the Boodle, the Ferguson, and the Thompson are all semi-detached, 3-bed, very, very good starter homes. If you want something slightly bigger, we have 2 types of detached house that are in the order of 1,050 to 1,100 square feet, and they're the Hawking and the Caldwell. So, and then the last type is a bungalow, again in the order of 950 square feet, and that is a McCracken, and seems to appeal to more mature buyers because this is a family area. They are selling to families, and some parents would like to live in the area as well.
Well, we'll look at some pictures of how those properties look in just a few moments. Here's the current progress then. These photos, the site progress at the end of April 2020, as the units are at various stages of completion. Just talk us through these.
On the left is the detached house, and that house that's number 27, and it is 100% complete. It will, if COVID has obviously delayed everything, we're just waiting for some certificates, and then when the lawyers open back up again, we will be completing on that house. The next 2 are 28 and 29, also complete, very similar position. You then move on down. We were about 2 weeks ahead of program before we had to close the site, and the site is just opening up again. Soft opening last week, and this week we have the full complement of construction staff back on site. And depending on how we go, if we can get off to a good start, it'll take about 6 weeks to complete the site, or this phase of development, 8 to 10 weeks if it is a very slow start. But very good progress up to now, and the builder has performed extremely well, and he's back on site now.
So just to be clear then, talking about COVID-19, so you did stop building, but now your build team have started in a soft way this week, but then they're ramping things up to finish the project.
Yes, on the 26th of March, just at much the same time as the whole country came to a stop, the boys decided that it wasn't safe to continue, so they stopped. And it was actually last week we had just single men in or ladies in each house, either painter or electrician, etc., to test the waters. And then this week it's the full complement. But still, again, because we have the houses in various stages of being complete, we can put the workforce in separate areas and comply with the social distancing.
So on our screen now, the various plots and how complete they are at the end of 2020. Some of them nearly complete. Look, plots 30 to 31 and plots 28 to 29. Some of them sort of 80%, 60% and 40%, depending as you go through the various plots there. And as you just heard Gerald saying that they're now ramping up again with the teams coming back on track. Here's the proposed development then of various plots and their expected pricing and their square footage as well. And there are various sites here. So it's phases 5A, 5B and 6 that we're looking to fund on these projects. So here's 5A on the left, where you can see where those properties are located on Emerson's Mill. Phase 5B is the other side of the road. And then phase 6 is then the other road just leading off of that main road there on the right. Let's look at the various properties that Gerald is building as part of this project and just talk them through them, please, then, Gerald, if you wouldn't mind.
So this first one is the Boodle, and that is a semi-detached house in the order of 950, as are the other semi-detached. They're all of a similar size. But as you can see, this is a white rendered house. And if we keep going, you will see the others that are of a similar nature. Now, again, this is actually very slightly different in that it is semi-detached, but just a different arrangement to give some architectural feature. The Grant on the left, Ferguson on the right, and again, both of them 950 to 1,000 square feet. This is the bungalow, and we have actually sold one of these. We have another one to sell. The last one was a disabled family, elderly wife in a wheelchair. And this was a house we were able to make minor modifications, larger doors and a wheelchair-friendly bathroom to be able to accommodate a family within the overall development. They had some of their children in the development. So that's what we were able to do. And I would expect similar again. This is the one of the detached houses, very slightly different sunroom on the left of the building, and again slightly bigger for a larger family.
I love the size of the windows on these. They really are quite sort of huge and sort of lets in loads of light.
Yes, being Northern Ireland, light is at a premium. So we have designed the houses to maximize the light, what little we get. This is a Ferguson, and as you can see, the previous Boodle was a white rendered house. This is a red face brick house, and interspersed through the development, as you say, to give it architectural, so that it is not all little boxes, as the song would say. This is the Hawking, and again, this is a detached house, slightly different, slightly larger, in the order of 1,100 square feet, and just bigger. Each of these houses for the master bedroom all have an ensuite, so they are very well spec'd. I get a slightly smaller detached house, a McCracken, and again, feature and to give variety in the offering, so that we do have, they are all, to be honest, really starter homes, and that's the market we are appealing to. Very good price range, and this gives us a differentiation in our offering. And the final one, this is the Thompson. Again, now a 50-50, half rendered, half face brick, very similar layout, same size. Again, it really is up to your preference.
Now, you mentioned that your market is the first time buyer, and of course you've sold lots of the other houses on these other phases of this particular project, and you believe that the first time buyer market will be the people coming to have these from you as well?
Indeed we do, and part of the benefit of these houses is they all qualify for, in Northern Ireland, what's known as the co-ownership scheme, where you can benefit from or assistance from the government in the purchase of the house, where you own a certain percentage and the co-ownership company will own a percentage as well. They'll put the money up and the purchasers have a small deposit and then can raise a small mortgage. So if they don't qualify for the full mortgage, the co-ownership scheme will help, designed for first-time buyers. And again, we've had a lot of purchasers. Co-ownership are very happy with the quality of the houses, and it gives us very good security and certainty on the sale.
So let's then look at some of the other properties that you've been doing. I've got a couple of case studies here. Firstly, this is tranche 3 of the Ligoniel Road development. Talk us through these detached properties.
This was a tranche of 19 houses, all very similar. As you can see, the two that we're seeing in the photographs here, the Ferguson and the Boodle. We did have some townhouses, again, as part of the offering, and they sold extremely quickly. I think everything was gone by the time we'd finished construction. It was one house, as there's nearly always one that has to be last, I have to say, but it performed extremely well. A GDV of 2.4 million, construction costs of 1.75, it gave us an overall profit of 470,000, and that money was put back into the further development and the infrastructure that was required. We're now getting to the stage where the vast majority, we have a very small amount of infrastructure left to build, so we're building the houses now.
Then the second case study I've got to share is then looking at tranche 4 of the same development. Again, a mixture of detached, semi-detached and townhouses. What did you do here?
It was a follow-on from tranche 3. In this tranche, we did have more townhouses. They did do reasonably well. They didn't sell as quickly, but we had some 2-bedroom, which did appeal. The 2-bedroom went very quickly, but again, performed in very much the same way. Again, 20 houses. We have released in blocks of 17, 18, 20. It's a good number to build at a time, and they sell well at a time. And we have, because we've increased the price in each phase, those that are in previous phases are very happy because obviously the value of their houses has gone up, and they treat the development has been very well talked about.
You mentioned that these sold a little bit slower, and I suppose looking at the pictures, building them through the winter, that may be a factor that didn't quite help with the selling.
Very true. Yes, Northern Ireland would get its fair share of snow, so people don't seem to be quite so keen to come out. But again, the construction was a little slower, the sales were a little slower, but it all went coordinated. We were happy with the way, with very little left to sell, and when you only have 1 or 2 left to sell at the end, you've already recovered your construction costs. So very happy on that score.
So let's then come back to this phase 3 that we're talking about here. It's for £150,000 out of the total facility of £1 million, and this will take the facility to £750,000 with 600,000 already submitted. The RICS verified current market value at the start was £620,000, and RICS have verified the GDV to be £4.379 million, with the estimated construction costs of £2,585,000. The loan's going to be drawn in stages upon the completion of the independent monitoring surveyor's reports. Initial loan to value 48.4%. The amount of the loan based on the gross development value, excluding the interest, is 22.8%, and then when you add in the rolled up interest, it takes it to 25.3%, with the profit on costs being 35.62%. So the maximum loan period of 15 months ends in August the 13th, 2021, and this phase of the loan is targeted to start on the 11th of May 2020. Remember, the exit strategy is that as the dwellings are completed, the borrower is going to sell the dwellings and repay the loan. Lenders will receive 8% per annum interest. It's paid at the end of the loan term, and of course it's secured with the first charge security against the property. So thank you for explaining all this to us, Gerald. The next steps then for people on this webinar wanting to invest in this next phase is to please make sure that you understand the loan and carry out your own due diligence both on this project and the development team, and then decide how much you would like to lend. CrowdProperty.com is the place to be to pledge on launch, and then the people successfully pledging will have the necessary anti-money laundering checks carried out, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your own online e-wallet when it's called for, and you'll start earning interest on the completion of the loan agreement. So thank you then for watching this webinar. This is the phase 3 of the land at Ligoniel Road in Belfast, BT14 8EU. We're looking to raise £150,000, please. So thank you for watching this webinar. We look forward to joining us again soon here at CrowdProperty.com.